Hi everyone, it's Lindy on here from Pink Whisper Designs. Today I have a super fun Art Impressions card to show you. So let's go ahead and get started. We're going to start with these rectangle dies from Art Impressions, and I'm going to take the two largest ones. And again, this is the A2 size double stitched rectangle dies. I'm using my Strathmore Bristol Smooth 100-pound cardstock, and I'm going to die cut 4 of these. So what I want to do here is place the largest one and then the smaller one, and I'm going to tape these two together. So I'm going to put a little tape down here, and then I'm going to position this second one in place because what I want to do is create the frame. So I want to position these, take a little time here to make sure you have these lined up because they're going to create a nice rectangle frame. And then once I have those taped down, I'm going to go ahead and put that on a little bit of an angle to run it through my die cutting machine. That'll just save your plates a little bit. So now I'm going to keep that taped together so I don't have to keep repositioning this. I'm going to grab the second piece of cardstock here and I'm going to go ahead and run that through again. So I'm going to do this 4 times. That's going to give me 4 insert panels and 4 frames as well. And you can see those there. Now I just need one of those inserts, so I'm going to grab that one there. And for these leftover ones, I like to keep them with my dies, and then when I need one or I want to check the size on the dies, I can go right to that little packet and grab one to check that out. So now using my Tombow adhesive, I'm just going to place a little bit on my glass media mat, and I'm going to stick these into place just to hold them while I do my inking, because I want to ink the frame and the panel all at the same time. Using Peacock Feathers and Mermaid Lagoon, these are the Tim Holtz Distress Oxide inks. I'm using my foam applicator tool to do the blending here. And I'm just going to add this lighter color first, kind of all over, but I will leave it a little bit lighter up in that upper left-hand corner because that's where my sentiment is going to go. So I'm not being real fussy here, and you can see there I'm just going to leave that left side a little lighter. And then I'm going to come in with the darker color, the Mermaid Lagoon. And I'm going to apply that down towards the bottom of the card and blend it up towards the top. This is where my rooftops are going to be down at the bottom, so I wanted it to have a little bit of a shadow down here. And I'm not doing a lot of blending here. I just kind of want to just get those two colors down. And going back to the Mermaid Lagoon, I'm going to place a little bit on my glass media mat. I'm going to spritz that with a little bit of water, and then I'm going to spatter that all over this panel. And you do want to make sure you get some on the frame as well, just to make sure that everything blends together. So now using my Shimmer Spritz spray, this is the Frost, which is a beautiful frosty shimmer. I'm going to spray the entire sky with this. And then I'm going to go ahead and use my heat tool to heat set that. And here, I hope you can see that beautiful shimmer that you get. So now with the other 3 frames, I'm going to go ahead and glue these together. I'm just going to stack these up using the Gina K Connect Glue. This is a nice strong adhesive that dries clear. Now I could have just used some foam mounting tape here, but I wanted to create this nice thick frame all the way around. So I'm going to continue gluing those together. And then once that's done, you want to make sure that you line that back up properly, and you can see I didn't there. You want to flip it around so that darker edge is down at the bottom. So now I'm going to grab the mansion. This is the Holiday Mansion set, and and you can see that you get the house and some dies. We're just going to be using the house, and then I'm going to grab the Holiday Mansion garden set, and I want that bird and that little sentiment as well. And it does have the coordinating dies. And the last set is the His and Hers Flying High stamp set. And I'm going to grab that little airplane. Now I'm using my VersaFine Onyx Black ink to do my stamping. I'm going to ink this up all over and go ahead and stamp that. I want to just die cut the top of the Holiday Mansion, and I'm going to try to fit a couple of these on this one piece of paper. So I'm just going to go ahead and ink this up halfway. I'm going to stamp that because we're just going to see the rooftops on our card, so I don't need the entire house. I'm going to flip this cardstock around and stamp this again, and then off camera I stamped it one more time. Now for coloring, I'm using Scarlet, Red, and Orange. These are the Zig Clean Color Real Brush pens, and these are a water-based pen, and they're very easy to blend. They have a nice fine tip on them. And then I'm using my blender pen to do the blending, and this is also by Zig. You could also use a water brush here if you prefer that. I always start with my lightest color, add my darker color, and then I just pull those two together. If you want to remove some ink, just scribble it onto your scrap piece of paper, and you can remove the ink that way. Also, when you're changing colors, you want to scribble that blender onto your scrap paper until it goes clear, and then you can go to your next color. Now again, you could use a water brush here. You just want to make sure it's not too wet. It takes a little more practice, I feel like, with the water brush, because you want to make sure in these little detailed areas that you have the right amount of water on your brush. So I find this blender pen to be really easy to use. So again, I'm going to continue with that lighter color and then blend in that darker shade. Now with dark gray and light gray, I'm going to color in the rest of this little airplane here. And you can see there I'm just removing ink. So I'm just removing it and scribbling it on the scrap paper. So these pens are very forgiving. So now for the bottom of the plane here, I'm just going to add quite a bit of that light gray just to get things started here, just to get the paper a little bit wet. If you are having a hard time with the blending, what you can do is lay down the blender first. Just lay down a little bit of that blender ink first, then start with your lightest color and then your darker color. And sometimes that makes the blending, especially in a large area like this, it just makes the blending go a little bit faster. And I'm going to keep the top of the airplane the lightest. So I did leave the coloring in on this card because I think it's the focal point of the card. So I do have all the coloring, and I'll show you all the colors as we go along. Everything will also be listed down below, all the products I use and the colors I used as well. Now I'm going to switch to the black, and I'm just putting a little on each side of the tire here, and then I'm going to pull it around. And here I'm removing ink just to give that highlight on the tire. Now with the light blue, I'm going to do that propeller just a little bit around the edges and pulling it in. And then with Oatmeal and mid brown, I'm going to color in his jacket and his little hat there. And for the hat, I'm just going to keep the front of the hat the lightest, add a little bit of a shadow here on the back side. And then I'm going to pull that towards the front. Now with the Persian green, I'm going to color in her shirt and her scarf. And later on, we'll be adding a few little polka dots to that scarf just to make it look a little different than the sweater that she has on. Now with dull blue, I'm going to do his scarf. And then with oatmeal and yellow, I'm going to do her hair. And the oatmeal I'm just kind of using as a shadow, just to give a little bit of a shadow there underneath the hair. And then keeping the top part of it the lighter yellow color. With sugared almond pink and the flesh color, I want his cheeks and the front of his face there to be a little bit ruddy looking, you know, a little red from flying the airplane. So I'm adding a little bit of that pink down the front of his face and then on his cheeks. And then I added that flesh color and I'm just going to blend those together. And for her as well, I want a little bit pink on the cheek and some pink down on the chin there as well. And then I added a little flesh color to her hand off camera. So now with the light blue, I'm going to do a little bit on those goggles there, just for a little reflection. With sugared almond pink, dull blue, and yellow, I'm going to go ahead and color in this little bird. So I'm just putting a little yellow on the tummy, a little pink on the cheeks, and then I'm going to blend that blue. I just want to make sure I don't blend it into the yellow because I don't want to make a green color here. So I'm just kind of keeping those as separate as I can and just blending that out. And then I'm going to grab the orange just to add a little touch of that to the beak. With yellow and pale yellow, I'm going to do the first house here. I'll just show you how I colored in one of the houses, and then I will show you the colors I use for the other two. So again, I'm starting with the light color, adding that darker color up underneath the roof line and along the edges. And then I'm just simply going to pull this in towards the center to create that center lightest color. So again, just adding that little bit darker along the edges and pulling it in. And then for the middle part, I can just add a little of that light yellow. I added the blender first just to get the paper wet, and then I'm adding a little bit of that yellow. Now with dark oatmeal and oatmeal, I'm going to do the roof on this house. And I'm adding a little bit of that dark oatmeal right up underneath those shingles. And then I'm just going to simply pull that down. And I'm not going to be fussy here. I kind of want it to look sort of random. And I'll do the same thing for the other side. With the light blue again, I'm just going to do the windows on the house. I'm putting it only on one side and then I'm going to pull it over towards the right. With dark gray and light gray, I'm going to do the little door here at the top of the house. I did want to mention, as I showed you earlier, there are coordinating dies that go with these doors and windows on the house, which you can cut out. This little door is like a hinge door, so it opens and closes. And the windows cut out, and then there's these little inserts, like a pane. The panes on the window. So it's really cute, and there's a front door that opens and closes as well. So to color the second house, I use Persian green, and for the third house, I use the blue-gray. For that roof, I use light brown and brown. And for that third roof, I use light gray and dark gray. Now I'm taking my scissors and I'm just going to cut these out. I'm just following the line on the image all the way around. And then I'm going to grab my black Tombow pen and I'm just going to go around the edges of these just to take that white edge away. Now with my scissors, I'm going to cut this out and I'm going to leave a little white border all the way around. So I'm simply just going to leave maybe about a 1/16 of an inch border all the way around. Now with this little bird, there is a coordinating die with the garden set. I'm going to tape that down with a little bit of purple tape and run that through my Sizzix Sidekick machine. The sentiment I'm going to grab that for the upper left-hand corner here. So I'm going to place this panel, again, making sure you have the darker side of the panel down at the bottom. And we're putting the sentiment in the upper left-hand corner. And I'm just going to make sure that's going to fit in there nicely. And I'm going to go ahead and stamp that. And it says, "Your friendship makes my heart sing." And I just love that. I think that's so cute. So we're going to go ahead and cut away the bottoms of the houses. And you could get your panel out and just see where you want to cut those. But I simply just cut a little bit off the bottom so that those would sit kind of at 3 different heights on the bottom of this panel. Once you've done that, you can go ahead. I did cut the chimney off this one here. And then I put a little bit of the black marker just to finish it off. But I did save the chimney because later I did glue it onto one of the other houses. The only reason I didn't want it there was because my little bird was going to go there and I thought it was just too busy on that little side there. So here I'm just going to kind of stagger these little houses. And I'm just simply gluing them down with the Gina K Connect glue. And you can see I moved that little chimney over to the house on the right just so my little bird would fit there. So I'm going to go ahead and cut away any excess. I'm just flipping it over and cutting off that excess there. Now I have a standard A2 size top folding card, and again I want to make sure that darker shade is down at the bottom of this panel. I'm putting my Gina K glue all around the back of this, and then I'm going to go ahead and attach these two together. And do spend a little time here to make sure you have that lined up. And this panel is going to fit right inside, and it'll feel a little bit tight at first. But if you grab your bone folder and you just kind of set it in there, then take your bone folder and just press it right down in, and it will easily press that right into place. And then you can use that bone folder just to make sure it's securely pressed down. Now you can see my little plane is going to fit right here. I'm going to pop this up with a little bit of foam mounting tape. So I'm going to place that tape all over the back here. Just want to make sure I avoid the tips here. I'm going to put a little glue here because these are the little areas that are going to touch the frame. So I want to make sure I don't pop those up so that this will sit right down in this frame nicely here. So I'm moving it around just to get it in place. And then I'm going to go ahead and attach that. And then I'm going to pop up my little bird as well. Now with my Signo white gel pen, I'm going to go ahead and just add all my little highlights. And this always brings everything just to life a little bit here. And you can certainly skip this part if you want. And here I'm adding a few little polka dots to her scarf. And don't worry where you put the highlights. Just have fun with it and just add a few here and there. And then I'm going to take my Spectrum Noir sparkle pen. This is the crystal clear. And I'm going to put that on each of these little windows here. That's just going to give a little sparkle and then a little bit on the propeller. You do want to make sure that you don't move that color around, so be careful here. Just clean off your pen when you're changing from the blue to the gray. Now with my Jelly Roll sparkly pen, I'm going to add a little bit more sparkle to her earrings here. So this is my completed card. I want to give you a close-up look here, and you can see how cute they are. And then hopefully I'll give you a closer look at that sky there. Again, you can see all the beautiful sparkle we have. So we get a lot of dimension here just by adding that frame. So if you're interested in checking out another card I made using the Holiday Mansion, I did a sidestep card. I've listed it up above there, and it's also on my blog. So I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, please hit the like button and subscribe. And don't forget to visit me at pinkwhisperdesigns.com. Thank you so much. Have a great day. Bye-bye.